I'm your host, Kyler Pfaff, and alongside me today is Alex Monti. We ask you to please excuse our momentary interruption of sports from your regular daily schedule. Today, we will be discussing everything to do with the NFL. Let's get right into it. The NFL season has come to an end. There was a victor, a loser, and plenty of memories and moments that were created during the Super Bowl. Also, is Patrick Mahomes the best quarterback in the league? What do you think, Alex?
Well, I feel like first and foremost, we have to kind of cover what happened in the Super Bowl. It ended with a 38-35 victory for Kansas City after trailing 24-14 in the first half. So Andy Reid had some great plans for the second half and halftime adjustments. Speaking of halftime, Rihanna brought in more viewership than the actual Super Bowl. Fun fact. Kansas City now stands 3-2 all-time in the Super Bowl, and Philadelphia is 1-3. Mahomes, on his own, is 2-1 in his Super Bowl appearances in his first 5 seasons as a starter. And it feels like it's just all up from here.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes definitely played pretty well that game. He had 182 passing yards with 3 passing touchdowns. He was also named Super Bowl MVP, and he also added 44 rush yards to that stat line, and definitely was the player that created the most buzz.
Yeah. But I will admit, comparing the statistics between Mahomes and Hurts did have the better game, though he only had 1 passing touchdown. He had 304 yards compared to Mahomes' 182, and he had 3 touchdowns on the ground, leading to a net 374 and 4 touchdowns compared to Mahomes' 226, 3 touchdowns. But it really comes down to what I believe was a crucial turning point, was Jalen Hurts' fumble in the first half. I mean, they were leading 14-7, and if they had gone down to score, it could have been a 14-point differential, but instead they fumble, scoop and score. It led to the Chiefs tying it up, and then the Eagles went on to score and try and regain that lead they once had, which in the end just kind of was essentially a punt in the end.
Yeah, and of course the fumble that you're talking about was when Nick Bolton recovered the fumble from Jalen Hurts, who was running the ball on a quarterback draw, and he just dropped the ball and just left the Chiefs wide open for a touchdown. That was definitely a point in the game where the Chiefs were, tying the ball game up and definitely made it close. And then during the second half, they just decided to take over, and Andy Reid definitely was there to be thanking for.
And of course, it's hard not to talk about the Super Bowl without talking about a controversial call. And of course, with the last play, well, not last play, but the play that led to the game-winning field goal for the Kansas City Chiefs was a holding call on a crucial 3rd and 4 on Juju Smith-Schuster, in which some people thought it was a bit ticky-tacky, and especially for the Super Bowl, perhaps not the right time to call something so specific.
Yeah, and Juju also had 7 receptions for 53 yards that game, led the entire Chiefs team in receptions that game. Travis Kelce, of course, was the big monster. He had 6 receptions, 81 yards, and then, of course, the touchdown. Those were the 2 best players on the receiving end for Patrick Mahomes. But looking at Jalen Hurts on that side, it was Devontae Smith, who had 7 receptions and 100 yards. And then you had A.J. Brown, who had 6 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown in the game.
And another interesting thing in Mahomes' accolades, you could say, is that he becomes the first quarterback to win MVP and the Super Bowl since 1999, when Kurt Warner did it with the then St. Louis Rams.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes, I definitely think, is making a case for, possibly becoming one of the GOATs in the near future. Obviously, this will take many, many, many years to accomplish that goal. But the Chiefs did sign him to a 10-year, $500 million, extension a couple years back. So he's definitely on the brink of possibly passing up, Tom Brady in the near future.
Yeah, and I mean, just at the moment with all quarterbacks in the league, he really stands out as the best. I mean, it's hard to argue with his accomplishments. He has the 2 MVPs, the 2 Super Bowl wins, 3 Super Bowl appearances, and has hosted the championship game all of his 5 seasons, which is just uncomparable.
Yeah, and I definitely think you have to thank Andy Reid for that situation too. Andy Reid proves to be one of the best coaches. One of his first years there, he led them to a championship. And then, of course, with Patrick Mahomes, being that brilliant, Andy Reid was able to, actually use his talents to his benefit, and that helped the Chiefs offense. And it seems that the Chiefs offense seemed to get better every single year for the past 3 years.
It's crazy to think that Mahomes might still be heading towards his prime. He's still got some years to go.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes is also a really young guy too, so I think he's only 25 years old right now, so he's definitely has a lot to prove in the near future. Next up, we will discuss the NFL offseason draft and predict where certain players and coaches will end up for next season. Stay tuned for more on UWW TV.
We'd love to show you what it's like to be a Warhawk.
Come on!
Don't miss out on your chance to be a Warhawk.
At UW Whitewater.
You belong here!
For Hawk Talk, especially on days I'm hosting, you really need to be up early looking at those news stories, even the night before. I'm finding topics that I can incorporate in the show, and I feel like we get a conversation going.
Once you get the opportunity to do that with other people who appreciate it the same level as you do, it makes it that much more enjoyable.
For everything sports, tune in Monday through Thursday at 91.7 The Edge or watch us on UWW TV.
The UW Whitewater Bookstore is your one-stop shop for apparel, textbooks, and technology. Stop in for a wide selection of gifts from our alumni, family, and name brand sections. Need to purchase or rent a textbook? Head downstairs to Textbook Services. Check out our new custom shop and create personalized apparel for your organization. Need a charger, laptop, or headphones? Our new technology section has everything you might need. For more information and bookstore hours, visit uwwhitewaterbookstore.com.
Here at UW Whitewater Intramural Sports, we have a motto: a sport for everyone and everyone in a sport.
Come on! That's it anyways. Oh, she got that. Oh, they're going to count it.
Had a blast. Always have fun at intramurals.
Every day we strive to go above and beyond that goal by providing healthy exercise, promoting leisure education, and giving students that competitive atmosphere they are looking for.
Yes! Yes!
It's exciting. Brings me back to those high school days with Friday Night Lights.
With our 25 different intramural sports offered, we guarantee that we have a sport for you. Go to our website and find your sport today.
Welcome back to Please Excuse Our Momentary Interruption of Sports from your regular daily schedule. The NFL offseason is officially underway, which means that we will soon see new designations for players and coaches who will sign where, and what does the NFL draft mean for teams around the league?
Well, I feel like the first thing that we can discuss is the coaching carousel. It's a situation every year. Some new faces and new places would be Arizona hired Jonathan Gannon, former Philadelphia defensive coordinator. Carolina, former Indianapolis Colts coach Frank Reich, who also played for Carolina back in the day. There was also Sean Payton moving to Denver, which is a big name, and I imagine that that'll help turn around Russell Wilson and his lackluster play as of late. Houston moving on to its third coach in as many seasons with DeMeco Ryans, former Niners defensive coordinator, and then Indianapolis is taking the other coordinator from Philadelphia with Shane Steichen. Some notable coordinators: Kellen Moore from Dallas, Bill O'Brien is going back to New England, and Brian Flores is joining Minnesota.
Yeah, and personally, I'm looking forward to Sean Payton coming back to coach. Obviously, last year he wasn't coaching, and now the Broncos have decided, John Elway decided to hire him on, and hopefully he gets Russell Wilson past that hump that he's been, through the past couple of years. Russell Wilson's still a great quarterback, but Sean Payton's experience will hopefully, boost that team as a whole. Some notable players that also are hitting the free agency market this year are Aaron Rodgers, you have Derek Carr, you have Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, and Jacoby Myers. All those players have, X amount of teams they can choose from. Everybody could use their talent. So now it's just where they go, where they decide, and that's what we will soon find out.
And then another way in which teams can get some new talent onto their teams would be through the NFL draft. Big names, obviously, Bryce Young, Heisman winner, quarterback from Alabama. C.J. Stroud, another name to look out for. Will Levis from Kentucky is starting to sneak into conversations, but probably not for the right reasons. D-line is going to be a big target in the draft with names such as Will Anderson from Alabama and Jalen Carter from Georgia. Wide receiver class is going to be deep. Offensive tackles such as Paris Johnson from OSU and Peter Skronsky from Northwestern are also going to be some big names to make big impacts in the upcoming season.
Yeah, this upcoming NFL draft is definitely interesting, especially with the Bears and their #1 overall pick. They definitely have to decide what they want to do with that, whether or not they're going to trade it or whether or not they're actually going to take somebody with that first overall pick. But it should be an interesting NFL draft as it comes up April 27th through the 29th. Let's transition to the NFC and AFC conferences, who are the best teams from each conference and who are the Super Bowl favorites for the upcoming season. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I feel like you gotta look at, history repeats itself in a way. Kansas City is still going to be at the top come next year, and I feel like Philadelphia isn't going to take too many steps back. But San Francisco is surely a team that's going to be in strong contention, especially if they're not on their fourth string quarterback this season. Other teams to look out for could be the Bills and Bengals yet again. Jacksonville could perhaps have a big not bounce back, but continue on the trajectory in which they are on at the moment. And perhaps the Chargers can finally stop charging and make a good playoff push.
Yeah, and this next year in the NFL is definitely very interesting because there's so many teams, such as the Ravens, who are second in the conference for the AFC North, and Lamar Jackson wasn't really fully healthy last year. So it's going to be interesting to look at that from Lamar Jackson's standpoint. If he's fully healthy, that team is definitely very exciting to watch, especially with the addition of Roquan Smith as middle linebacker. That team is looking very good both offensively and defensively. For the NFC side part, I would think 49ers would be my Super Bowl pick. Obviously, we're a whole year ahead of that, but I feel like 49ers just got the best team. They got, 3 really good quarterbacks. So now they have to decide who they want to pick as a quarterback. But they also have one of the best running backs in the league, being Christian McCaffrey, and then Deebo Samuel, who is one of the best football players in the NFL. And then, of course, the 49ers are one of the best defense. So I would have them in the NFC side for going to the Super Bowl. And then on the other side, AFC, I think it's going to be the Bills. Josh Allen definitely is wants to prove something next year. So him and with James Cook and Devin Singletary as the running backs will definitely complement him. Stephon Diggs as well as Gabriel Davis will hopefully make an impact for the team. And then the AFC should belong to the Bills.
I concur with many of the points. I believe the San Francisco 49ers will also make the Super Bowl, but the point in which I differ is I believe Cincinnati will be representing the AFC, making their third third conference championship appearance and their second Super Bowl appearance in as many years. Other teams to look out for that may not be Super Bowl bound, but could make some big moves. I feel like the Detroit Lions, after the past season, which they showed starting 1-6, almost made the playoffs. I feel like that could be a team to watch out for. They have the 6th overall pick from the Rams, I believe. And then other teams to just keep an eye out for: Baltimore and New York, the Jets, because quarterback is going to be the big question moving into the offseason with Lamar and contractual disagreements. And then who are the Jets really going to be having taking snaps?
Yes, exactly. I also think that the Jets need to make some moves this next offseason, and that should be, interesting to look forward to down the road. Next, the top 5 players to watch out for next season. You're watching Peomiosfyrds on UWW TV.
Matt checking in to see how Sam is doing on his project, and it's getting close to exporting now, the final step in the process. And it is complete, and Sam is hyped. Finally gets complete and spikes the ball into the end zone. Sam's celebrating with his colleagues, and they throw a flag on the play. The ref's going to call excessive celebration. Sam is in disbelief and can't believe it. He tries to dispute the call, but the ref is not having any of it.
Crew is a faith-based organization for UW-Whitewater students. Their mission? To create an inclusive Christian community for students looking to explore or grow their faiths.
For me specifically, it's been amazing to just have people to walk alongside with my Christian journey on.
They always say to go and experience new things while you're at college, and I think this is just another one of those things that you should experience.
Crew welcomes all students and is held at Summers Auditorium on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Come join our crew.
The PB Poorman Pride Center is the place to go for LGBTQ+ resources, information, and community. Located in the Warhawk Connection Center, while there, you can meet people like Mia.
And I serve Impact as president this fall, as well as working for the Pride Center. Impact is our queer LGBTQ+ and ally organization on campus. We meet once a week, and we do a lot of social events as well as education events.
It feels like I'm way more accepted here than when I was in high school. It is like a really big family.
Along with acceptance, in the Pride Center you can find a little library, a clothing closet, and a satellite location of the Warhawk Food Pantry.
It just feels like a home to me. It feels like my home away from home, and there's such a community here that is so wonderful and full of joy.
For more information, follow the Pride Center on Instagram at UWW_PRC.
Welcome back to the show alongside Alex Monty. I'm Kyler Pfaff. The NFL has many skilled and talented players throughout the league, but who are the top 5 players to watch out for next season?
Well, I feel like just as it is in the front offices, the first and most important is quarterbacks. So that's what we'll discuss first. In my personal list, I believe Mahomes, as mentioned before, is the top guy in the league. I feel that Josh Allen follows in second, although there is an argument for Burrow. I feel that Josh Allen doesn't have the run support such as Burrow has with Mixon, nor the depth of receivers that Burrow has. But Burrow still comes in at the number 3 slot, just behind him. 4, this is where you start getting to some grade territory. I had a tough time, but I believe that Justin Herbert still has earned a spot with the power of his arm and his mobility, and perhaps with Kellen Moore being able to unlock some more potential within him, I feel that can surely help. And then Jalen Hurts, after what could have been an MVP season, just derailed by injury, I feel that he rounds out the top 5.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would also like to throw in, Lamar Jackson in there because, he was hurt last year, and I think he's on a prove-it year this year. So I would throw Lamar Jackson in there, as well as Brock Purdy, just because I think that, he'll be one of those guys that everybody wants to look at down the road because, obviously he hurt his elbow in the playoffs last year, this year. So he definitely is looking to bounce his way back. So we will transfer now to top 5 running backs. The top 5 running backs, I think, for next year will be Christian McCaffrey, of course, Austin Eckler with the Chargers and having a dynamic 1-2 combo with him and Justin Herbert. Then you have Derrick Henry. Again, if Derrick Henry is healthy, he could possibly be one of the best running back next year. I would also throw in Saquon because he did very well this year when he actually was healthy. And then Josh Jacobs as well as Nick Chubb are another candidate you can throw in there to be the top 5 running backs.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I agree with every single one of those, even the positioning of McCaffrey and Eckler, because I feel having that second dimension of receiving really sets them apart from the rest of the group. When it comes to receivers, though, speaking of receiving, I believe that Justin Jefferson has really established himself as the top guy in the league. Devontae, coming in at second, I feel is still up there, but without that connection that he had with Rodgers, he just didn't digress per se. He still did well on his own, but I feel like just some of it took away the spotlight. Thirdly, Diggs, this was a tough one. Jamar Chase coming in after that, a toss-up between the two, but I feel Diggs has to do a bit more with less surrounding talent per se. And then rounding it out, Tyreek Hill still with that speed, you just really can't match that.
And then I would also add, of course, A.J. Brown in there. He definitely had a breakout year for the Eagles. And then, of course, Cooper Kupp. Hopefully he comes back healthy and he's ready to go for the Rams. When we come back, we'll present our final thoughts for this week's episode. Stay tuned.
What does it mean to be a Warhawk?
That was good.
It means
timing,
allowing
right?
myself to dream big and think outside the box.
Pushing the limits of what I think is possible.
Seeing ideas through from start to finish.
Collaborating with professors and peers.
And seizing opportunities in the community to put my knowledge to use.
I'm studying abroad,
learning another language,
and listening to the stories of others.
I'm making lifelong friends and fearlessly sharing my gifts with the world.
As a Warhawk, I stay balanced,
take great care of myself,
and get out of my comfort zone.
I refuse to let the past determine my future.
And I'm taking confident steps in the direction of my dreams.
Sometimes it doesn't make sense.
And other times it couldn't be more exciting.
But I will keep my goals in mind
and never quit.
Because
that's the Warhawk way.
UWW-TV has been an important part of the campus and community since 1980.
Not only providing on-air learning opportunities for broadcast journalists and electronic media production students,
but educating and entertaining our audiences with award-winning news, live sports coverage, original programming,
as well as dedicating a mission to developing creative collaborations throughout campus.
For more information, visit our website and like us on Facebook.
Check us out because you got to see what's on UWW-TV.
Here at UWW, we put a lot of emphasis on shaping your involvement. Involvement helps you get to know more people with similar values and goals as yourself. The Student Involvement Office can help you get involved with organizations on campus, or we can help you start a brand new one. So what are you waiting for? It's time to shape your involvement at UWW. If you'd like to learn more, stop by UC 127 or contact us at involvement@uww.edu or call 262-472-6217.
Welcome back to Peomiosfyrds. Let's wrap it up by talking about our final thoughts from today's episode. So I definitely would like to include, the Super Bowl was one of the best Super Bowls I think we will see in a, matter of, a couple of 10 years maybe, because just the way that, how Philly was winning the game at halftime, and then Kansas City decided to come back and, show the world who they were as, champions. Patrick Mahomes is definitely a guy who showed true heart and true grit as he was fighting through an ankle injury that was caused, 2 weeks prior in the playoff in the AFC Championship game. I would definitely like to see the Chiefs, make it back-to-back years, hopefully, as in the Super Bowl run. So, but then again, I have the Bills, surpassing them in the AFC Championship next year. Hopefully, it'll be, worthwhile to watch that game, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, for me, I feel like there's just a couple players to highlight, keep an eye on for next year. I feel that one, Breece Hall, often overlooked and easily forgotten about, could have been the Offensive Rookie of the Year until his injury derailed that. Jets swept that category with both defensive and offensive, and essentially had a third, which is just insane. Pollard, a guy to look out for. Doubt that Dallas will really want to be spending big money on 2 running backs, and thus wherever he may land is going to be someplace to keep an eye on. Beyond that, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I feel, is going to be a top-tier receiver by the end of the year. What he's established in Detroit has just really put him on that trajectory, and I think he finally makes the big leap this season.
Yeah, I definitely think also that Amon-Ra St. Brown will be one of the best wide receivers next year as well. That will do it for us here tonight. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time to hear more hot takes all around the world of sports. This has been Please Excuse Our Momentary Interruption of Sports from your regular daily schedule on UWW TV.